that important event, I actually overheard Michael clarify to someone and say, you see, I am more than just a pretty face. I'm sure that's the case, Michael. And to tell us more about that, please welcome to the stage your class speaker. Good evening. I thought it was especially special that they pushed me to this close to the end of the program. I guess they wanted to make sure that folks' parents had an opportunity to doze off before I actually started speaking. So, congratulations. Due to what I'm sure is some sort of cruel joke being played on you by my classmates, you now get the opportunity to spend the next 8 to 10 minutes listening to the quietest guy in class. Which, lucky for you, is still 2 minutes less than the time it takes to read one of Lola Banjo's Facebook statuses. And 20 minutes to 3 days less than the time it takes to completely comprehend or understand one of Michelle's. Now, before I get too deep into this, I just wanted to let you know that the speech, as well as most of my 2011 sneaker collection and this shirt, are being brought to you by the folks at Pepsi. Yes, Pepsi, that's the choice of the new generation. Because as we've learned, this millennial generation is okay with coming in third place, as long as they still get a certificate for participation. Now, additional inspiration has been provided to you by the good folks at usbottlesandfriends.com. For those of you who are unfamiliar, usbottlesandfriends.com is a blog site dedicated to delivering dating advice, similar to what Dr. Phil would deliver had he had a few too many drinks one night and decided to sit back and just watch you completely screw up your entire relationship. We are on Facebook as well. So, when I was tasked with deciding what to speak to you guys about this evening, I decided to engage my two most trusted confidants. One, Mr. Jack Daniels, and my turtle, Mr. Crispus Attucks, who I normally can't actually hear until I've actually engaged in a few sentences with Mr. Daniels. Well, and their advice to me was the same as it always is. Just grab the microphone, turn your filter off, and just say whatever comes to your mind without thinking. It was at this moment that I realized that me and Donald Trump have more in common than I So after I finished a few more sentences and pulled my head out of my aquarium, I decided that we should go out the same way we came in, with reflections. You guys remember those reflections? Those sessions we used to engage in at the end of some mind-blowing session where we were held at chalk point, of course, to recap the things that we had already decided not to pay attention to. Well, as much as I would like to invite each one of you up to share one of those reflections on the board, I decided to dip into my own personal stash of reflections in my personal diary. I found these mixed in with poetries of love and burgeoning economies. And I'd like to share a few of those with you this evening. Sometimes people call me Jerome. but it's not because all black people look alike. They were just suggesting that I become a better person. As in, Michael, you should be more like Jerome. Point taken. Fishbone diagrams can help you solve a lot of things, but a paternity test is not one of them. I learned that watching Maury Povich in the back of MP. it's fun to direct unwitting visitors to the doors in the front of Roz's desk in the middle of winter. Where's the women's restroom? Straight through there. Just sit back and watch the fireworks. Einstein's is not a restaurant. It's a social experiment to see how much people are willing to pay and how much ridicule people are willing to endure without actually ever receiving what they really want. And based on what we've learned in Professor Hill's economics class, as far as supply and demand, I won't be surprised to return here in a few years and find that they finally decided to offer up a small coffee that will be priced slightly higher than the large. Apparently, Zero Spiro's real name is Zero Sparrow. My kids should never, ever, ever, ever play with Aaron Lytle's kids. Note to self and program office. Dave Wong and Kevin Wong are two totally different people. Dave is married to Erica, and Kevin is married to Vivian. Jared Hogue taught me how to Dougie. Block B was difficult, but it probably wasn't 11 shots in 8 minutes difficult. I wish I would have known that GMC was going to stop paying cash prizes to the winners before I invested that 1,548 minutes into it. Had I known, I probably would have come up with a better plan to pay down my debt at the Pink Pony. I'm just glad that my tab is not as high as Phil's. For those Harvard graduates to be so smart, they sure do screw up a lot. I mean, a Levi's business suit? Really? Alejandro. Just thought we needed a musical break. The next time we decide to do a Jackson 5 rendition, I'm going to suggest that we replace Darian with Booby. Karina's zest for life really should be our 8th core value. Apparently, David Hart selected the performance-enhancing drug option in Pharmasan. That's really got all of a sudden. When it's all said and done, I wonder who the biggest power couple will be. D. Miller and Jeff? Now one additional entrant. Neha and Tico. I guess it really doesn't matter because we're all going to be working for Abdul Wahab anyway. Now, that wraps up my reflection portion of the speech. And as you can clearly see that if I would have followed Brandon Smith's approach for presentations and speeches of tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you told them, my speech would sound more like nothing at all, absolutely nothing. But before I return to my seat, there are a few that I would like to thank. First of all, in his absence, Mr. Samuel L. Jackson. As some of you know, I experienced a tremendous loss last academic year when my Oscar fish, Samuel L. Jackson, fell victim to a faulty aquarium unit. Now, I tell you this not to garner your sympathy, as I've hugged most of you enough already, sometimes against your will. However, some of you have some very attractive mothers and aunts that are a lot closer to my age range, and I have not had a chance to be consoled by them, so it wouldn't be too much trouble, then I guess you're right. Let's just wait till my girlfriend's not around. I'd also like to say thanks to the program office and a special thanks to Ann Dries, who was able to slip off unnoticed. Thanks for your undying commitment to the removal of barriers wherever they arose, and for those 3 shiny new microwaves that showed up the day we stopped needing them. I'd also like to thank the admissions office, the deans, our esteemed faculty here at Goizueta. I mean, how could I not thank the school that gave this lad from the mean streets of southwest Little Rock, Arkansas, the tools necessary to fulfill my childhood dream of working for the #3 beverage maker in America. Just a second, I've just received word through my imaginary earpiece that Pepsi is now falling behind Tang and Ethiopian wine. That's America's beverage of choice, so congratulations, Sadia. I'd like to say thanks to the friends and family that have traveled to be here with us this weekend, and to all of you that have provided the words of encouragement necessary to keep us on track, and to those that provided that Ustream link to those cute little puppies that immediately took us back off the track. I'd also like to take a moment to thank my two biggest fans that are no longer able to attend these ceremonies in person. I know they're probably up there peering down somewhat embarrassingly at their son making a fool of himself. But yeah, these are the people I was telling you about. These are the ones that keep me propped up. Which brings me to you guys, my classmates. As some of you know, Samuel L. Jackson was not the only loss that I experienced last year. During spring break, my mother passed away, and I used to wonder if I would ever be granted a stage big enough to thank you guys for all the support that you've provided me since that event. I eventually realized that I never will, but I want you to know from the bottom of my heart that I really do thank you for everything that you've done to help get me to this point. How's that for a turn? Now, when I returned from that spring break excitement, a friend of mine who was a recent grad of Harvard Business School picked me up from the airport with a few of her HBS friends in tow. And I guess attempting to make small talk, they asked me, what is it like to be a student at GBS? How is it to be a student at Goizueta? And I thought for a second, and I replied quite simply, Goizueta is what Harvard would be if you actually cared about the people that you sat in class with every day. See, not only has Goizueta provided me with a top-tier business education and a nice, shiny business card holder, it's also provided me with you guys, and a group of alums that actually answer the phone when you call. So, as I wrap up this experience, I know that I leave here with a few hundred additional friends that I can stay tapped into for years to come. And my motto is, who needs money when you have friends with money? My fellow members of the Goizueta MBA class of 2011, bound together by our 7 core values, and Karina, let's go out here and structure the hell out of this ambiguity. Thank you.
Got it.